He don't never believe the accountant. Yo,
what's wrong with
God
you,
got the funniest sense of humor. He don't believe the accountant.
Again?
Again. He just never do it. He never believe it. I sent it to him. He didn't.
Joe Budden responds back to Maul. Yes, on the last episode of the Joe Budden podcast, Joe Budden had his end with Maul and made fun of how he doesn't believe in the accounting. For those of you that don't know, in an interview with Rosenberg, Rory and Maul opined about how nobody's making $20 million a month, though I truly believe they meant $20 million a year on Patreon.
I don't make $20 million a month on Patreon. You know what I mean? I'm out here living a regular life.
Neither does other people, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Someone say neither does anybody.
Yeah.
No, but
some would say neither does anybody.
And this harkens back to when Joe Budden, Rory, and Maul would go their separate ways on a series of allegations of thievery, laziness.
Not only did I not steal from you, you have never had anything worth me stealing from you.
Every time he paid for some of my money. Every single time he paid for some of my money.
Those narratives would persist till this very moment we are in right now, with Joe Budden often being called a thief and Rory and Maul being called lazy hangers-ons who don't even try. Well, I think we have to examine what this means, and what it does mean is that these guys still haven't let it go. They still have issues with each other over how everything went. And every time these guys make news, they're going to end up back at each other, taking little shots that might boil over into a serious issue, because this has happened many times before. Remember the "It Pains Me" rant by Maul?
Every vacation he take a chick on, that's some of my money he using. And that pains him. The most money he ever made in his life, he made sitting next to me. That pains him. I know that pains him.
Also, remember the countless rants by Joe where he called them the bare minimum boys?
Stop doing the bare minimum and expecting that to yield results. You are the bare minimum boys.
This is a vicious cycle, and it is not ending anytime soon. I expect Rory and Maul to get another deal, and then I expect Joe to get another deal, and this will keep going back and forth. But we are about 5 years out, right? These guys broke up all the way back in 2021, and it's about to be 2026. And if you look at their respective platforms, I think you can say Joe was ultimately right. I think in terms of how things played out for him, he has won the short-sighted battle. Like, as far as short-sighted, I mean like right now, as of this moment. I don't know if Rory and Maul have a play, but I don't think you can debate that when Joe Budden separated with Rory and Maul, the outcome of the business was strictly in his favor. Because now he's in a situation where he doesn't have to share the accounting with anybody. And sharing the accounting can have great consequences, because then people could interpret the accounting how they want. People can say, oh, this is how the accounting is. Why is this being spent there? Even though Rory and Maul were entitled to the accounting based on their contract, it still was very problematic and represented an issue for them, as I think Ian didn't like that deal. I wonder if Ian even constructed the deal that Joe put Rory and Maul in, because I wouldn't imagine Ian would ever let something like that slide. But let me know what you think in the comments. But I also wanted to go in on this Kev on Stage interview, because it gave insight into the Rory and Maul issue that was had with Joe Budden. So for the last 5 years, one of the biggest calling cards of the split is the accusation of, did Joe actually steal from Rory and Maul? Well, I think it's pretty clear that he didn't steal. But what he may have done, which I think is highly likely, is creative accounting. And Kev on Stage kind of broke it down when he was talking about his journey in Hollywood and how he's worked with certain studios, and there was always creative accounting done.
You'll be surprised how creative accounting can get when you don't want to pay somebody.
Now that right there is truly what the issue is in all of this. Was there creative accounting done by Joe Budden? You know, the idea that you kind of make it so that you're not turning a profit. So it's really hard to give everyone a raise. And if you do give someone a raise, it's going to come because you are the person that looked out for everybody. You are the person that moved things around. I think that's truly what happened with Joe. And over time, you know, when Joe started to say things like, oh, I'm taking the money from the pull-up. Oh, I'm taking the money from, you know, my other ventures and Revolt TV. And then, you know, that's why we haven't lost any money.
I'm going to take that money that's earmarked for that to me personally, and I'm going to move that here to make sure that all of my people are good.
That's respect.
I would have said as Rory and Mal, so you mean to tell me the pull-up is making money and so is Revolt TV, but the Joe Budden podcast with Rory and Mal is losing money? That would make absolutely no sense. And what it was is creative accounting. Now, is creative accounting a bad thing? Because I know in business, there's a lot of people who say creative accounting is just regular real life stuff. It's not necessarily evil things going on. But if you're Rory and Mal and you signed up under the guise of friendship and always looking out for the friendship dynamic, then it could be problematic. And we also have to remember that between Rory and Mal, the only person who ever called Joe a thief was Mal. Mal was the one who said that, you know, Joe was stealing. He was the cat burglar. It was Rory who never said anything about Joe being a thief. And I think it's largely because of defamation. I don't think, you know, Rory wanted to be sued for defamation, which you can be sued for. If Joe were to get tired of Rory and Mal calling him a thief and sue them, he could provide the accounting. And even if it's creative accounting, if there's no proof of thievery, Rory and Mal would be in trouble. So it would behoove Mal to never call Joe a thief, but I don't ever see Joe really taking it there because the amount of money you would have to spend on a defamation case is so vast and it's going to look crazy. It might be good content for Rory and Mal, like, yo, this guy's suing me for being a thief. I don't think that's ever happening, but I'm just throwing it out there that is why Rory has never called Joe a thief, but Mal has. But let me know what you think about the shots Joe threw at Mal, saying that he didn't believe the accounting. I could see why he may not have believed the accounting, because even if the accounting was legit, there was some maneuvers going on, right? I remember when Errol Spence and Crawford, they were going to fight before Crawford slapped Spence around. One of the things that Errol wanted to control was the expenses and the accounting and all of this stuff. And it was like, Crawford was like, I'm not going to sign that deal. But Rory and Mal signed that deal. And you could say, why didn't Rory and Mal leave before that ever happened? Well, they wouldn't have reaped the benefits of being on the Joe Budden podcast. They would have been another Marissa who had left before the windfall came. At least with this, Rory and Mal experienced some type of issue, but they benefited off of Joe's platform. They were able to take some of the audience and transfer it to them. There's people who, as a result of this split, no longer listen to Joe, but only listen to Rory and Mal. And for me, that was a win, though I do think Joe ended up with the bigger win because now he has a business where he doesn't have to explain a damn thing to anybody but Ian. Maybe one day Ian and Joe will end up in a bad spot just because you never know how life plays out, but only time will tell. I want to end this video by saying, y'all, please subscribe to my Patreon. I just got into an interesting back and forth with Flacco. Flacco came on stage and I felt like he was trying to like jam up the stop. I didn't understand what the play was. And I want all of you to listen to it so you can see what I mean. And on top of that, we also discussed the idea of Rock Nation being some evil company. Is Rock Nation evil, or are they being treated as such because they engage in normal business practice that the culture deems evil, but isn't necessarily evil in the culture of business. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.